Let's see. Does it tell me? Now it says live, so we are live.
So we are live. All right. So hopefully people are out there watching, but if you're catching this later on, we're here to talk about Monday's Apple event. And yes, I know you have seen and read all these things that are going on. People have been writing about it, but we thought we would jump in and share our thoughts, what got us excited about it, what went on, and do a brief overview. So I got Michael Babcock in here with me. This is Damashe Thomas. I didn't think to introduce myself because I figured it had my name up there, but just in case it doesn't, Damashe Thomas from Fedora Outlier, and our marketing guru Michael Babcock, also of Your Own Pay Fame, is here with me. So, Mike, what's going on today, man?
Not much, Demasi. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Don't you love technology?
Hey, man, that's amazing. And you just cut out all of a sudden.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah. You're back. You're back.
Hit the wrong button. Yeah, I was just saying, don't you love technology?
Yeah, man. You said tech night like you just cut off. It was like you gonna show him.
Oh, I hope everyone is doing well. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the Fedora Outlier channel where you're seeing this, so that way you can be alerted of next times when we go live. And of course, if you like this content, someone else you're connected with probably will too. So don't forget to share it on your favorite and most active social media presence.
Absolutely. So, Mike, Apple had this event on Monday, the 21st, and we kind of due to leaks, which I wasn't actively hunting for predictions, but it seems like pretty much what I heard is kind of what they announced. So there was a phone, and there was a new iPad, and some new watch bands, and updates to all the software, of course. So, what did you take away from the event? Because I know you got a chance to actually watch it live. So, what was your takeaway? Just broad strokes.
Yeah. So my takeaway. Okay, let me pop on over here to these notes, which for your reference, Demasi, there's your figure. Let me close that. That is insane. Um, so for your reference, Demasi, you can share your screen on here. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Watch two or iPad Pro. I'll let you talk about that because you have some thoughts. I never really was too fond of the iPad or the iPad Pro. I never looked into it, and it just is a device that wasn't necessarily for me. Watch 2.2, I did not update my watch. I wasn't even aware of the update because I don't think it was mentioned. It could have been, but I didn't remember it being mentioned. And then Apple TV folders and dictation, we can talk more about that. And password notes, I can mention something about that as well.
All right, sounds good, man. Sounds good. So yeah, the iPad Pro, man. I was
Uh,
kind of what's that? Oh, I think I lost Mike. Mike, can you still hear me? Y'all still hear me? I'm out there.
oh, you
So
you had you had muted out for a second, but you're back.
yeah. The iPad Pro for me was interesting because of course they released the enormous, that's about the size of my laptop screen, iPad Pro back in October of last year, and it's a little too big for me to be carrying around because I get no actual benefit from that size of a screen. But I did want something that was lighter, more portable to carry around to allow me to be able to have some other than my phone in particular situations. So the iPad Pro 9.7-inch model, which was released on or announced on Monday, was super interesting to me. For the purposes of having that sort of mobile computer if I'm out of town and I don't really need a laptop necessarily. And also, being able to take advantage of, say, using like a mixer with a couple of microphones to do like a live recording event. Setting up some, you got some pretty nice audio apps on iOS now to let you record. A couple I know of that will let you stream out to a Shoutcast server, and of course, maybe even being able to use Google Hangouts from iOS. But what I've heard about it since then is it's a little underpowered compared to the 12.9-inch model, which is a little concerning because, I mean, from a screen reader user standpoint, we always have to take into account that that extra use of voiceover is going to hinder some of your processor speed automatically. Perhaps not dramatically, but it is going to affect it. So having a underpowered device that is pro level is a little disappointing. Although I will say these were very early reports right after the event, so I'm assuming it's people that probably had their hands on the device early review units, and maybe they had a prototype or maybe the test that they ran to get the information that they got were not necessarily updated for the iPad Pro 9.7 inch. So I mean, it could be skewed. So we'll see what shakes out of that. But I still am excited about it because it shows Apple's at least commitment to trying to offer that touchscreen replacement for your laptop for people that can make that work for them. It wouldn't be a laptop replacement for me per se, but it could fill that gap. Instead of me walking around the house with a notebook in my hand, I could actually walk around with a nice iPad. That's where it kind of fits in for me. Mark, you were saying you've never really been interested in the iPad. Is that just you never had a use for it, or like everything I
Yeah,
can do on that I can do on my phone?
exactly. I mean, I'm a pacer. Those of you who don't know, I pace all the time. I didn't realize how much it was until I started tracking my health data. Thank you again to Apple for that. But I didn't realize how much I paced until I started tracking my health data. And so the iPad's just too big for me, I think, to carry around and do what I want to do. But I don't know. It's just my personal preference. Now, my younger brother right here, who's leaning against my left shoulder, he is very fond of that iPad because he can play some amazing games on it.
Amazing. All right, I had to mute real quick. I want to kind of put my phone on do not disturb so to stop yakking out. But yeah, I hear a lot of people say that, man. That was kind of honestly my feeling about the iPad as well for quite a bit of time. Was like, it's kind of it's a little too big to carry it around and use it because I'm gonna have to hold it with one hand, swipe with the other hand, which seriously limits what I can do with it. I mean, I can walk around and hold my phone in one hand and be able to type on it and get quite a bit more stuff done. But since kind of getting a little set up in here in my back room, bedroom, office, with having all this stuff connected to my laptop, it makes it highly unlikely, or at least makes me not want to have to disconnect that laptop if I want to go sit outside and do some writing. So iPad kind of comes in for that, so I'm not killing my phone battery necessarily.
Well, and you can connect a Bluetooth keyboard or a dock keyboard to your iPad, and it could, in theory, be a cheaper laptop. Well, I don't know about cheap, but a cheapish laptop to get done what you need to do. But again, you can also do that with your phone too. So I just didn't never really find myself using the iPad, but I think they're good to have in the Apple ecosystem of your home. Now, so are you going to go pick up one of the new Apple iPad Pros for the price of them, or are you not sure?
I'm not sure, man. I'm gonna kind of let it shake out, let people do their reviews, and kind of talk about what the power of them is. I'm really interested in how they function, real world use, not just running a stat test on them to see how fast it can do this and how slow it does that, etc. Really waiting on people to kind of some of the reviewers to get their hands on it and use it in the real world for what they would use it for and find out. Probably will pick up an iPad at some point because I'm looking for me to replace the MacBook with probably a Mac Mini or a reasonably priced iMac, just to have the desktop on the desk all the time because this Mac is plugged in most of the time. I picked up a cool app, Fruit Juice, that kind of tells me, hey, you need to unplug your battery, kind of keep its health in good condition. Uh, but I mean, if it's plugged up most of the time, it seems to me it's probably time to just pick up a desktop computer and maybe the laptop. I mean, the iPad can be that sort of replacement, sort of in between device, not really replacing a laptop per se for me, because a lot of what we do is a lot of content creation and you need a computer for that actual Mac. Uh, but for those little small things, I want to sit around and just type out, do some writing or, maybe do a personal one-on-one recording or something like that. I think it could be a good deal. But we'll see, man. Maybe a couple of months I'll pick one up.
Now, let me ask you this though, because we were talking about the iPad Pro mini version. What are your thoughts about the iPhone mini version? Are you there, about? Are you there, Damashe?
Oh, I hit the wrong button. I accidentally muted myself. So the iPhone SE, which is basically, from my understanding of it, is an iPad, not iPad, iPhone 5S, size device, pretty much the same body, just has the uh the guts of a 6S, which is cool. Uh, I'm glad to see Apple come out with a updated version that's on par with the current phones as far as the processor and all that sort of stuff, camera, for a smaller screen for people that want that. It's not really interesting to me for the fact that I've been using the big phone for since around the time the 6 Plus came out. 6 and 6 Plus came out. So I'm kind of used to that now, and the battery life is a big difference maker for me. But I am glad to see that they came out with that device, though. And I'm also super excited that it's, actually basically an iPhone 6S minus the 3D touch. I think is the only thing that the 6S have that it doesn't have.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if it had the 3D touch. I wasn't sure if that I didn't hear it. But again, I didn't hear the Apple Watch 2.2 update, which I need to go and do because I'm not sure what features that adds. I think it's just some basic map features and stuff. But I haven't updated my watch to Apple Watch 2.2 yet. And you don't have an Apple Watch yet, do you?
No, I've not picked up an Apple Watch. I was curious to see if they were going to release a new watch on Monday. That was kind of floating around out there. It was a possibility, but they actually just came out with some, new bands, which seems to be what they do about every 6 months is they update the band. So I'll probably
Mm-hmm.
know before too long.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
Well,
fascinated with the stuff they've been able to do with the watch. As far as like track, like you mentioned it for yourself, you didn't realize how much you paced until you had the Apple Watch and you were able to track your health data, a lot more accurately. Like, man, I do a lot of walking, do a lot of pacing. So that's one of the reasons that I'm extremely interested in the Apple Watch. It's just for the health data and the stuff they're doing around that.
well, I like the health data, and I also am fond of the glances. As you know, I'm really looking at OmniFocus. I haven't quite talked myself into it, but OmniFocus has some interesting glances that I think could be really useful. Right now, how I have my Apple Watch set up is in the top left corner, you see the battery, you see, your status bar and stuff like that as well. In the main complication, so in the center of the screen, it shows the next event on my calendar. I'm starting to follow my calendar more. If people who want to chat with me have to go to a website and book an appointment with me, even though it's free to book the appointment, but that way it gets added to my calendar because I'm very forgetful.
Exactly.
So that shows up on my watch, the next event, what event's going to happen next. And then I've got in the bottom left corner, what is that down there? I forgot my activities. Shows me how much I'm working out, how much I've been moving, and how long I've been standing. And then in the bottom center is the stopwatch or the timer, because that's another major feature that I use my watch for, especially with cooking. Hey, set a timer for 5 minutes, set a timer for X amount of minutes. And so whenever you have a timer set, you can just touch your finger in the bottom center of the screen and see, 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. Okay. And it just gives you that information. I don't have to whip out my phone. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, it has the weather. So again, I don't have to pull out my phone. I can just say, it's 61 degrees outside. Awesome. And if I want to go in more detail about that weather, I can just tap on that or double tap, obviously, with VoiceOver, and it expands it.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it, man. It takes those small, interactions with your phone that we're used to doing, pulling out the phone to check the time, pulling out the phone to set a timer, all that sort of stuff. It puts it right there on your wrist, quickly available, and very unobtrusive. With the way I've seen a lot of people do it, like it's not, this big huge thing. You got to dig in your pocket, pull the phone out, you're holding it up, and so the watch is extremely interesting to me. Have you noticed with like say the speed of the watch as far as launching apps or having the glances updates that been pretty
I
good?
would like a faster watch. I think Apple's kind of spoiled us with the newer iPhones because what it reminds me of is going back to either a 3GS or a 4. So it can be done and VoiceOver works just fine, but you notice the lag in it versus a 6 or 6 Plus or whatever.
Right. That's been probably, if there's been one consistent complaint since the watches come out, and a lot of people have used it, is that they feel like the glasses or the third-party apps are, kind of slow to run on the watch. So maybe we'll get an
Well,
updated version.
that's what I was just going to say. Maybe I mean 2.2 was announced as I said a few minutes ago. I don't really know what was mentioned. I think as a couple of people told me it was just really some map updates and a couple of other things. But hopefully with either a future 2.0 release or better yet a 3.0 release, we'll have speed improvements and from what I understand, the first instance of WatchOS has gotten better to now. So of course Apple will bring in some bugs and some problems with it, but they're going to fix a lot of things as well too with the next versions, kind of like they have with the Apple TV.
Yeah, I think it's it's again like a work in progress. I mean, if you think back to, although the first iPhone wasn't accessible to the blind, I remember the first iPhone didn't actually have apps in the way that we think of them today. Everything was a web app basically, and they were kind of slow and it was a little laggy, and, all
And
that.
wasn't that only 11 years ago?
I think it might have not even quite been 10 just yet.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was '05 or '07, but
I think it was '07 because I think I remember hearing somebody say that the 10th anniversary of the phone is sometime next year, of the iPhone release is sometime next year. So I will make it, about 9 years ago. So look where we've come at, just in those, 9 years of the device. And I'm pretty certain that the next iteration of the watch is going to be significantly faster, because I'm pretty sure Apple is taking that feedback into account. That could be one reason that we haven't seen a. I'm curious to see what the release cycle of the watches is going to be. People keep speculating at every Apple event that happens that, oh, there's going to be a new watch, and there's not a new watch yet. So it's been out roughly a year now, I think. So I'm curious to see if they drop maybe a new one in this fall, updated version this fall, or if if they kind of, what their release cycle is going to be for the watch itself.
yeah, because I mean it kind of happened a lot like the Apple TV there for a while. I think it was the Apple TV second generation. It was like 2 or 3 years. I don't have the exact dates between the releases. And every big event, Apple's going to release this TV. They're going to release this TV. So hopefully they release regular versions. But I don't know how they're going to get people to want to upgrade their watch on a regular basis like they do with their phone. That's not to say that it won't happen, because in the past we never really used to think about upgrading our phones, but now everyone wants to upgrade to the newest latest phone. So are we going to turn into where you can start having your Apple Watch and turn it in for credit and then apply that towards a new watch, or how's that going to work?
That's an interesting question, man. It sort of seems like they're kind of leaning toward that direction with the iPhone upgrade plan they announced last September. The 6S is coming out, where you basically get a new iPhone every year when it comes out. So uh, they may lean in that direction. That would be a good way to go for the watch. But it also sort of seems to me that maybe the cycle for that is going to be a little bit longer. Like, whenever we do get the second watch, I would expect for the watch version 2 to sort of be around for a couple of years again before they do an update, because a lot of what they're going to try to do, I think, is what they've done with watch 2.0 from version 1.0, is enhance the features and the capabilities of the watch more through software updates than constantly releasing and iterating on the hardware of the device.
Although I wouldn't mind if the watch could take my blood pressure at the same time.
Hey, man, I think they were working on that, and I think the reason, I think that kind of got hung up due to FDA restrictions, and like they may have gotten approval for that at this point, but I think they just wanted to get the watch out,
Yeah,
and that was kind of the hang up process for a long time with that.
definitely, definitely. So you're still running on Apple TV 3, right?
Yep, still got the Apple TV third generation.
Okay. And are they pushing any updates to that at all, or not
I
really?
saw an update a couple of months ago, and it may have been just because I went and looked for it. I'm not actually sure how long it was hanging around, but it seems like they're still kind of pushing maybe updates for like security fixes, things like that. And of course, we're
Mm.
still getting. I mean, I don't look at the home screen of that of the Apple TV all that often, But I was looking at it the other day because I was looking to see if I actually got the events app pushed to the Apple TV for the event on Monday. And man, there's like a couple of things on there that I know were not there before, uh, channel wise, because I tend to hide the stuff that I don't use on the Apple TV home screen. So there was a lot of stuff that was there that I hadn't seen before. So they're still
Yep.
actively doing something with it.
Mhm. That kind of happened to me once. So we had our Apple TV third generation in the boys' room, my brother and son's room, and one day, I went and I hit a lot of the apps, YouTube, and some of the other things I didn't want them playing with, or some of the other things that I didn't watch. And then I go in there and I turn it on. And it says I have one of 62 items. I'm like, what?
Right.
They just dropped a lot of updates. But now we've got this Apple TV fourth gen, which I'm at first I was like, oh, it's just another Apple TV. But now it's kind of growing on me. You can listen to the Apple Music with the Siri remote, so you can press and hold the button and just tell it to play a song. We don't have it hooked up into a sound system yet, but that could be very easy to be able to just listen to whatever you want to, especially either from the remote, or I guess you can connect the watch to the Apple TV. I haven't successfully done that yet. And then the new, as you mentioned to me yesterday, the new iOS remote, which I need to get connected to the Apple TV on the app, the iOS iPhone app. And then the new update gives you the folders, which I'm indifferent to the folders. My 8-year-old brother plays on the Apple TV a bit because he can play games, and the folders kind of gives him something to play with, and he likes to hide stuff. So he'll go put it in a randomly labeled. Like today, the entertainment folder got named 7Ws, so it was www. I'm like, where is Netflix? So I'm not sure that I'm fond of the folders yet. I'm going to go in and see if we can restrict those. Or make them and then restrict them and lock them how they are. And then now you don't have to, you used to have to swipe. It would start in the left corner, A, and you'd have to swipe right all the way over to Z. It wasn't in a QWERTY keyboard layout. It was just one long line of letters.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can dictate. You can press and hold the Siri button and dictate what you want. They say you can dictate username and passwords as well. I don't know how well that would work, especially some of the passwords I have. So I think I'm still stuck with entering those ones manually, but that's the other big update to the Apple TV.
Yeah, the Apple TV 4 seems to be one of those things that's sort of like the watch in a sense. And I think you said this earlier, where it came out and it wasn't 100% what everybody wanted it to be, but as they iterate and continue to update the software, like they're adding more and more of those features that people thought were missing from the beginning. That's something I'm definitely gonna have to pick up. For certain, because my daughter was in the Apple store with her mother and got a chance to play with the remote and playing a race car game. And even though she's two, I think she's kind of attached to this whole race car game with the controller thing. So nothing else. I got to get it for the gaming, man. Got to get it for
Hey,
the gaming.
there, and you can even buy real game controllers for it too.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that. Probably have to pick one of those up just so I can, I can play along, crash my car while
Mhm.
she's winning. I guess something like
There you
that.
go. Welcome to the story of your life, huh?
Yeah, man. Just say, look, all off road. Look, I'll be off road with my vehicle. Make sure I get something like a land cruiser or something.
There you go. There you go. But I think that was really all of the Apple event stuff, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, I
It,
mean, we
it
had
wasn't that impressive.
they pushed the update to OS 10, so we got
Oh, did they?
10.11.4. Yeah, that's out. Seems like a lot of
Okay.
under the hood stuff. There's not much I can put my finger on off the top of my head that was there. Just brand new. I mean, they did bring the lock notes ability also there on OS 10 as well.
Awesome.
Lock notes or access notes that were locked from iOS on OS 10 as well.
And for people who might be curious on how to do that on iOS, I don't know about OS 10. You can open a note in your iOS 9.3 device, tap the share button, I believe it's in the top right hand corner, and then tap on lock. You can enter a password there and or use Touch ID to unlock that note.
Yep, that's how that is done there. And a quick way of doing it on OS 10 is just highlight the note that you want with voiceover, hit VO Shift M to bring up the menu options, and the second option down is lock this note.
Awesome.
One new feature that did get added to the iPhone that's been on the iPad forever, and I've been able to successfully verify that this works on the 6 Plus, and the S model phones. I'm not sure about anything before the 6. But we now can use a four-finger flick left or right to quickly switch between apps on your phone. That's been on the iPad, I think, since the iPad was introduced in 2010. But we just got
Huh.
that ability on the phone. So,
That is amazing. You already know how much time that saves me.
yes, sir.
No more double tapping of the home button to flick through to find the app you need to switch over to paste things into it.
Yeah, man, that right there by itself is worth it. The only thing I wish they would have brought on over that is also on the iPad is when you do have a Bluetooth keyboard connected to the phone to let me use Command Tab to switch between apps. That does work on the iPad. Does not yet work on the phone.
It
That
doesn't. Okay.
four finger flick gesture is awesome, man. It's awesome. Love
Hey,
it.
there's hopes that Command Tab will come in the near future.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, maybe we can start a campaign and we'll get like the 9.3.1 update. That'll have that little feature right there.
Yeah, because there's not already enough campaigns started.
I know, right? Hey, no headphone jack in the iPhone 7 is still the rumor. I think people have a
Hey,
petition on that.
yeah. Well, the new little phone has a headphone jack, so why wouldn't the newer updated version have a headphone jack?
I don't know, man. That's one of them things I'll just wait until they announce it and then see what they say about it. Because
And
if it
and
doesn't,
from the rumors that I've read, they'll ship a pair of Bluetooth earpods with it instead of the corded version, which of course is just a rumor. But if they do that, cool. I just got a free pair of Bluetooth. Well, not free, but I got a pair of Bluetooth earpods.
exactly. I mean, they're not going to ship it without some type of headphones, whether they're Lightning connected or Bluetooth. So I'm not really all that worried about it. Just interesting to see how they spin it. You know, what's their reasoning for removing the headphone jack? Although that will actually affect a lot of the devices that are out there now. I'm thinking about like
Yeah,
card readers, like the Square card reader and the PayPal
yeah,
card reader. They will have to probably build one that has a Lightning connector, I guess, to make those work.
yeah. Probably because if they cut that microphone jack or that headphone jack out, you're gonna lose all of those. So
Yep.
Lightning or Bluetooth, and I think Lightning would be more secure. So
Absolutely, definitely more secure. But yeah, I think that's about it, man. Like I said, I mean, they released new watch bands. You check out any new watch bands. You're interested in a different new watch band?
no, I'm not really into the whole changing up the watch band. I'm probably going to stick with the sports band.
Cool.
Although they did lower the price, so it might be a
Yeah,
bit more affordable to pick one up.
yeah. I was about to say that they the bands they came out with seemed pretty cheap, and yeah, they did drop the sport edition $50. So it starts at
Mm-hmm.
$299 for the 38 millimeter and $349 for the 42. Which one did you actually end up with? By the way, was it the 38 or the
40,
42?
42, and check Best Buy. They might still have it on sale. And if Best Buy has it, then it's $299 for the 48, or for the 42, and $249 for the 38.
Yeah, there have been a lot of sales on Apple stuff from third party sellers lately. So I mean, anybody
Which
can
is
do this.
interesting because notoriously Apple doesn't do any sales.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if Apple's doing the sale or if they're just if these places are able to, kind of knock their price down because the margin is a little bit better for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've seen the iPad Pro, the big edition of it. Last month I think they had the 128 gigabyte model for like $800. It's like $150 off its regular price. That is a
Wow.
steep discount.
Speaking of 128, since you brought that up, what are your thoughts on this 256 gigs?
Oh man, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
To say the least, it was definitely unexpected. I don't know. They're really pushing this. The iPad Pro being a laptop replacement for some people. Uh,
Mhm.
So I guess for people who deal with primarily, writing, reading, emailing, web browsing, maybe some to a certain extent. I'm not sure how well or how bad this could or could not be for somebody doing a lot of editing or video editing. I know there are a plethora of apps for those tasks on iOS. Perhaps that it could actually be a replacement for a laptop, and I guess adding that extra, bit of storage, making it 256, kind of makes it seem, I guess, to some people a little bit more realistic as a computer because now you can load all your music on there and your photos and your 4K video. But one thing though, I mean, if you're shooting a lot of 4K video with either one of the newer phones or with the iPad Pro, uh, that 4K video does take up quite a bit of storage.
Now, real quick, and then we can go ahead and conclude this. Is there a 256 phone, or is the biggest phone 128?
No, the biggest phone is 128, but you bring up an
That's what.
interesting point because I wondered if maybe the next, presumably September release of the iPhone 7 would come with a 256 gig storage option or not.
One might suspect, and I mean it's impressive where storage is. I've got 6 gigs on my wrist.
All right. Think about it. I mean, man, I actually used floppy disk back in the day, so
Yeah.
running around now with 64, 128 gigs of storage in your pocket, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And you're talking about those not the actual harder floppy disk, but the actual floppy disk too.
Signals with the hole in the middle that you weren't supposed to stick your finger in, or it would wreck something.
But it was there, and you just had to stick your finger in it.
Exactly, man. I'm glad I'm not the only person because I had to at
Yep.
least once to see what was going to happen.
Exactly. Is it going to work? And then you put it in, and it still worked. They were lying to me.
Maybe I'm not really sure because it still works. So,
Well, yeah, that's all I got for people today. I'll go ahead. How can people get in contact with you, Damashe? And I'm sorry, I took over the hosting, and you were supposed to be hosting, but I'm so used to it.
man, that's cool, man. That's cool, man. Because you are pretty good at doing this. So, man,
Try
I'm
to
on
be.
Twitter at Damashe, Damashe. And of course, you can find anything from Fedora Outlier at fedoraoutlier.com. All of our links are there.
Perfect. And you can follow me at Payon, Payowyn. Don't forget to follow Fedora_Outlier on Twitter. And last thing is like the Fedora Outlier channel by subscribing to it at youtube.com/Fedora Outlier LLC. Or hit the button that says who this video is by. Yeah. And then like the video.
Absolutely,
So,
like the video and share it. Get it out there.
yeah.
We'll be doing some more events in the future. So as Michael mentioned in the beginning, definitely subscribe to the channel and follow us on Twitter for updates for the next time that we will be streaming. So you can join in live.
There you go. And eventually we'll figure out how you can actually join us, because I know we can bring other people on. I think we just have to give them that call link and they can join in, but I don't know how we'll get that to people, but we'll try that out.
Absolutely, as well as the chat. So this chat thing is going to be awesome going forward too. So yeah, definitely keep your
Definitely.
ears and eyes and screen readers on Fedora Outlier because we will be doing more of this in the future.
All righty, make it a better than excellent day and visit fedoraoutlier.com.